Ladies and gentlemen, I've wanted many things in my life that I haven't received. And to that I say, my dear friends, you have indeed received exactly what you wanted, but perhaps not in the way you expected. You see, the universe operates on a principle so simple, yet so profound, that many of us overlook it entirely. This principle is the law of assumption. It states that your outer world is a perfect reflection of your inner world. In other words, what you experience in your physical reality is a direct manifestation of your dominant thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. Let us delve deeper into this concept. Imagine, if you will, that your consciousness is like a garden. The thoughts you think, the emotions you feel, the beliefs you hold, these are the seeds you plant in this garden. And just as surely as an acorn grows into an oak tree, these mental seeds grow into the experiences of your life. Now you might be thinking, but Neville, I've had negative experiences that I certainly didn't want. And to that I would say, look closer, my friend. Look at the thoughts and feelings you were harboring before and during those experiences. Were you not perhaps expecting the worst? Were you not, on some level, assuming that things would go wrong? You see, the human mind is a powerful thing. It doesn't distinguish between what you want and what you don't want. It simply takes your dominant thoughts and feelings and brings them into manifestation. This is why it's crucial to be mindful of what you're focusing on, what you're assuming to be true. Consider for a moment the story of a man I once knew. He was constantly worried about losing his job. Day in and day out, he fretted about it, imagined worst-case scenarios, and lived in a state of perpetual anxiety. And do you know what happened? He lost his job. Now you might say, see, Neville, he got what he didn't want. But I say to you, he got exactly what he was focusing on, exactly what he was assuming would happen. This, my friends, is the crux of the matter. You always get what you want, because what you truly want is determined not by your surface-level desires, but by your deepest assumptions about yourself and the world around you. Let's explore this further. Think about a time in your life when you achieved something you had long desired. Perhaps it was a promotion at work, a loving relationship, or a personal accomplishment. Now consider your state of mind leading up to that achievement. Chances are you were confident. You believed it was possible. You could see yourself already in possession of your desire. This, dear friends, is the secret. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, when you live from the end as if your desire has already been realized, you align yourself with the creative power of the universe. You plant the seed of your desire in the fertile soil of your imagination. And the universe, in its infinite wisdom and power, brings it into manifestation. But here's where many people stumble. They say they want something, but their dominant thoughts and feelings tell a different story. They say they want financial abundance, but they constantly worry about money. They say they want a loving relationship, but they harbor beliefs about being unworthy of love. They say they want success, but they fear failure. In each of these cases, what do you think these individuals will receive? That's right. Exactly what they're predominantly thinking and feeling. They will experience financial struggle, loneliness, and setbacks. Not because the universe is cruel or because they're unlucky, but because they're getting precisely what they're assuming to be true. Now, I can hear some of you thinking, but Neville, how can I control my thoughts and feelings? How can I assume something to be true when my current reality shows me the opposite? And to that I say, my dear friends, this is where the true work begins. This is where you must exercise the divine gift of your imagination. You see, your imagination is not some frivolous fantasy maker. It is the very workshop wherein you forge the life you desire. When you use your imagination to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are engaging in the highest form of creative. You are declaring to the universe, this is who I am. This is what I accept as true. Let me give you an example. Suppose you desire financial abundance, but your current reality is one of lack. The conventional approach would be to worry, distress, to focus on the absence of money. But what does that create? More lack, more struggle, more of the very thing you don't want. Instead, I urge you to do this. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And now imagine yourself as you would be if you were already financially abundant. How would you feel? How would you carry yourself? What thoughts would occupy your mind? Would you worry about bills, or would you feel a sense of ease and security? As you engage in this exercise, you'll notice something remarkable. Your body will begin to respond as if what you're imagining is actually true. You might feel a sense of relief, of joy, of freedom. This, my friends, is the feeling of your wish fulfilled. And when you can capture and maintain this feeling, you set in motion the forces that will bring your desire into physical manifestation. It's a crucial point. You must persist in this assumption. You must live from this new state of consciousness consistently. It's not enough to do this exercise once and then return to your old patterns of thought and feeling. You must make this new assumption your dwelling place. Now, some of you might be wondering, but Neville, what about action? Don't we need to do something to achieve our goals? And to that I say, of course, action is important. But understand this inspired action flows naturally from your assumed state of consciousness. When you truly assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you'll find yourself naturally taking actions aligned with that state. The financially abundant version of you will make different decisions, see different opportunities, and take different actions than the version of you struggling with lack. This is why I often say that changing your conception of yourself is the key to changing your world. When you change who you believe yourself to be, everything else changes to match that new self-concept. Let's consider another example. Imagine a person who wants to be in a loving relationship. They might go on dates, join dating apps, and actively seek a partner. But if their dominant assumption is that they're unlovable, or that good relationships are hard to come by, what do you think their experience will be? That's right. They'll encounter experiences that confirm their assumption. They might attract partners who don't appreciate them, or find that their relationships always seem to fall apart. Now imagine if this same person were to change their assumption. Imagine if they were to live from the state of being deeply loved and appreciated. How would that change their approach to dating? How would it change the energy they put out into the world? How would it change the way they interact with potential partners? You see, when you assume the state of being loved, you naturally become more open, more confident, more attractive. You send out a different vibration into the universe, and the universe responds in kind. This is how you always get what you want, by becoming it first in your imagination. But let me be clear. This is not about forcing outcomes or manipulating others. This is about aligning yourself with the truth of who you really are. For in reality, you're not separate from the universe. You are an individualized expression of the one creative power that underlies all of existence. When you truly grasp this truth, when you understand that your consciousness is the one and only reality, you'll see that there is no limit to what you can be, do, or have. For the only limits that exist are those you accept in your own mind. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but Neville, what about other people? Don't they have a say in what happens in my life? And to that I say, of course, they do, but only to the extent that you allow them to in your consciousness. You see, everyone in your world is you pushed out. They play the parts that you knowingly or unknowingly have assigned to them through your assumptions. If you assume that people are kind and helpful, you'll encounter kindness and help wherever you go. If you assume that the world is a hostile place, you'll find evidence of that hostility all around you. This is why it's so crucial to be mindful of your assumptions about others. When you change your conception of someone, you change how they show up in your experience. This is not about controlling others, but about taking responsibility for your own consciousness and the reality it creates. Let me share with you a personal experience that illustrates this principle. Many years ago, I had a colleague who I found difficult to work with. I assumed he was uncooperative and hostile towards me. And guess what? Every interaction we had seemed to confirm this assumption. But then I decided to apply the principle we're discussing today. I began to imagine this colleague as friendly, supportive, and easy to work with. I would close my eyes and create scenes in my imagination where we were working together harmoniously, where he was praising my work and offering his assistance. At first, nothing seemed to change in our outer interactions. But I persisted in my new assumption. I lived from the state of having a great working relationship with this person. And gradually, miraculously, things began to shift. He became more friendly towards me. He started to offer his help on projects. Our interactions became pleasant and productive. Not that I changed this person, no. What I changed was my assumption about him, and in doing so, I changed how he showed up in my experience. This, my friends, is the power you wield in every moment of your existence. But let's take this principle even further. It doesn't just apply to your interactions with others or to specific goals you want to achieve. It applies to your entire experience of life itself. You see, your fundamental assumptions about the nature of reality shape everything you experience. If you assume that life is hard, that good things are rare, that you have to struggle to get ahead, guess what kind of life you'll experience? That's right. One of hardship, scarcity, and struggle. But what if you were to assume that life is inherently good, that the universe is always working in your favor, that abundance is your natural state? Can you imagine how that would transform your experience? This, my dear friends, is the ultimate secret to always getting what you want. It's not about manipulating external circumstances. It's about aligning your consciousness with the truth of your being, which is one of infinite potential, boundless creativity, and limitless love. When you live from this state of consciousness, you'll find that life begins to flow effortlessly. Opportunities will appear as if by magic. The right people will come into your life at just the right time. Challenges will be transformed into stepping stones for growth. But remember, this is not about passively waiting for good things to come to you. It's about actively assuming the state of consciousness that aligns with your desires. It's about living from the end, feeling the reality of your wish fulfilled, and allowing the universe to rearrange itself accordingly. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but Neville, this all sounds too good to be true. Surely there must be some catch. And to that I say, the only catch is your own limiting beliefs. The only obstacle is your own doubt and disbelief. You see, the universe doesn't judge. It doesn't decide whether you deserve something or not. It simply responds to your dominant state of consciousness. If you can accept something as true in your imagination, the universe must provide you with experiences that match that acceptance. This is why faith is so crucial. Not blind faith in some external power, but faith in the creative power of your own consciousness. Faith that what you can conceive and believe you can achieve. But here's where many people stumble. They try this principle once or twice, and when they don't see immediate results, they give up. They fall back into their old patterns of thought and feeling, and then wonder why nothing has changed. My friends, creation is finished. The reality you desire already exists in the realm of infinite possibilities. Your job is not to make it happen, but to align your consciousness with it so completely that it has no choice but to manifest in your physical experience. This requires persistence. It requires living from your desired state consistently, even when your senses tell you otherwise. It requires trusting the process, knowing that the seed you've planted in your imagination must, by universal law, grow into your physical reality. Let me give you another example to illustrate this point. Imagine a young woman who dreams of becoming a successful author. She writes diligently but struggles to get published. Rejection letters pile up and she begins to doubt her abilities. Now, if she were to focus on these rejections, if she were to accept the assumption that success is out of her reach, what do you think her experience would be? That's right. More struggle, more rejection, more evidence to support her assumption of failure. But what if, instead, she were to assume the state of being a successful author? What if, every night before sleep, she were to imagine holding her published book in her hands? What if she were to feel the joy of receiving glowing reviews, of seeing her book on bestseller lists, of inspiring readers with her words? If she were to persist in this assumption, living each day from the state of being a successful author, how would that change her approach to writing? How would it change the energy she puts into her work? How would it change the opportunities she notices and acts upon? You see, when you assume the state of your wish fulfilled, you align yourself with the version of you who has already achieved that desire. You begin to think, feel, and act as that version of you would. And in doing so, you naturally take inspired actions that lead to the manifestation of your desire. This, my friends, is how you always get what you want. Not by forcing, not by struggling, not by worrying about how it will happen, but by assuming the state of already having it, by living from that state consistently, and by allowing the universe to bring it into manifestation in its own perfect timing. Now, I want to address something that often comes up when I share these teachings. Some people worry that if everyone could have whatever they wanted, the world would fall into chaos. They fear that people would use this power for selfish or harmful purposes. But here's the beautiful truth. When you truly align with your highest self, when you tap into the creative power of the universe, your desires naturally align with the highest good of all. You see, at our core, we are all expressions of the same divine consciousness. And that consciousness is love itself. So when you operate from this level of awareness, you don't desire things that would harm others or disrupt the harmony of the universe. Instead, you desire to express your unique gift, to create beauty, to serve others, to experience joy and share that joy with the world. This is why I often say that your desire is God's desire for you. The desires that spring from your true self are not random or capricious. They are the universe's way of expressing itself through you, of expanding and evolving through your unique experiences. So never feel guilty about your desires. Never think that wanting something is selfish or wrong. Your desires are sacred. They are the call of your higher self, urging you to grow, to expand, to become more of who you truly are. But here's an important point. See, sometimes what you think you want on a surface level is not what you truly desire at a deeper level. This is why it's crucial to cultivate self-awareness, to really examine your desires and where they're coming from. For example, you might think you want a specific job or relationship, but what you truly desire is the feeling of fulfillment or love that you believe that job or relationship will bring you. When you recognize this, you open yourself to receiving what you truly want in ways you might not have imagined. This is where trust comes in. Trust that the universe knows the best way to fulfill your desires. Trust that if something doesn't manifest exactly as you imagined, it's because something even better is on its way. Remember, you always get what you want. But sometimes, the universe delivers it in a package you didn't expect. This is why it's important to focus on the essence of your desire, rather than the specific form you think it should take. Now, let's talk about the role of action in this process. Some people mistakenly believe that if they just imagine what they want and feel good about it, they can sit back and wait for it to appear. While it's true that inspired action flows naturally from your assumed state, it's still important to act when you feel prompted to do so. The key is to ensure that your actions are aligned with your assumption. If you're assuming the state of being wealthy, act as a wealthy person would act. If you're assuming the state of being in a loving relationship, act as someone in a loving relationship would act. These actions don't have to be grand gestures. Often they're small shifts in your daily behavior. The way you speak about yourself and your life, the choices you make, the opportunities you say yes or not to. All of these should reflect your new assumed state. But here's the crucial point. Your actions should feel natural and joyful. They shouldn't feel like a struggle or a chore. If they do, it's a sign that you haven't fully embodied your new state and may need to spend more time in your imagination, really feeling the reality of your desire. Now, I want to address something that often comes up when people start applying these principles. They wonder, what about my current reality? How can I assume something to be true when my senses tell me otherwise? This, my friends, is where the real work begins. This is where you must exercise your faith and your power of imagination. You must learn to deny the evidence of your senses and live from your desired state, regardless of what your current circumstances show you. This doesn't mean you ignore your current reality or act irresponsibly. It means you acknowledge your present circumstances while simultaneously holding firm to your new assumption. You live in two worlds at once, the world of physical senses and the world of imagination, knowing that the latter will eventually replace the former. Let me give you an example to illustrate this point. Suppose you're currently in debt, but you desire financial abundance. You wouldn't ignore your bills or pretend the debt doesn't exist. You would continue to manage your current finances responsibly, but at the same time, you would live from the state of financial abundance in your imagination. You'd feel the relief of having all your debts paid. You would experience the joy of having more than enough money for all your needs and desires. You would feel the security of an abundant bank account. And you would carry these feelings with you throughout your day, even as you're dealing with your current financial situation. This is what it means to live from the end. It's about holding two realities in your mind simultaneously, while emotionally and mentally residing in the reality you desire to experience. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Neville, this sounds like self-deception. Isn't it better to face reality as it is? And to that I say, what is reality? Is it only what your physical senses show you? Or is there a deeper reality? One that exists in the realm of infinite possibilities, waiting to be called forth by your assumption? You see, what you call reality is simply the outpicturing of past assumptions. It's the harvest of seeds you've planted in the past through your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. But at any moment, you have the power to plant new seeds, to make new assumptions, and thus to create a new reality. This is not self-deception. This is understanding the true nature of reality and your role as a co-creator with the universe. This is recognizing that your consciousness is the one and only reality, and that everything in your world is a reflection of that consciousness. Now, I want to address another common concern that arises when people begin to apply these principles. They worry about the time lag between their assumption and its manifestation in the physical world. They wonder, how long will it take for my desire to manifest? My friends, time is a construct of the human mind. In the realm of pure consciousness, where all creation takes place, there's no time. Your desire is fulfilled the moment you assume it to be so. The time it takes to appear in your physical reality depends on many factors, including the naturalness of the desire, your ability to maintain your assumption, and the current conditions of your life. But here's the key. Don't concern yourself with the when or the how. Your job is simply to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled and to live from that state. The universe will take care of the details. Trust the process. Know that what you have assumed must come to pass. Remember, creation is finished. All possible realities already exist. When you assume a new state, you're not creating something new. You're simply selecting a different reality from the infinite array of possibilities that already exist. You're tuning your consciousness to a different frequency, so to speak, and thus experiencing a different version of reality. This understanding should free you from anxiety and impatience. There's no need to worry about whether your desire will manifest. It must, for it already exists. Your only task is to align your consciousness with it through your assumption. Now, let's talk about an aspect of this principle that many people overlook. When you truly understand that you always get what you want, that the universe is constantly responding to your assumptions and delivering experiences that match them, how can you not feel profound gratitude? Gratitude is not just a pleasant emotion. It's a powerful creative force. When you feel grateful, you're affirming that you already have what you desire. You're living from the state of fulfillment, of abundance, of your wish realized. And in doing so, you're aligning yourself even more powerfully with that reality. So cultivate an attitude of gratitude. Be thankful, not just for what you already have in your physical reality, but for what you've assumed in your imagination. Feel the gratitude of already being, doing or having what you desire. Let this feeling permeate your entire being. This gratitude will transform your entire experience of life. You'll find yourself appreciating the present moment more fully, even as you're assuming a different state. You'll see the beauty and perfection in all things, recognizing them as expressions of the same divine consciousness that you are. Now, I want to address something that often comes up as people begin to apply these principles successfully. They start to wonder, if I can have anything I want, what should I want? What if I choose the wrong thing? My friends, there are no wrong desires. Every desire that arises within you is an opportunity for growth, for expansion, for a fuller expression of who you truly are. The very fact that you can conceive of something means that it's possible for you to experience it. However, it's worth examining your desires to understand what you truly want at the deepest level. Often what we think we want is just a means to an end. We think we want a specific job, but what we really want is the feeling of fulfillment and purpose that we believe the job will bring. We think we want a particular relationship, but what we really want is the feeling of love and connection. When you recognize this, you open yourself to receiving what you truly want in ways you might not have imagined. You allow the universe to surprise and delight you with its infinite creativity. So instead of focusing on specific forms or outcomes, focus on the essence of what you desire. How do you want to feel? What kind of person do you want to be? What kind of life do you want to live? Assume these states in your imagination and watch as your outer world rearranges itself. Now, as we near the end of our time together, I want to leave you with a challenge. For the next 30 days, choose one desire, something you truly want to experience in your life. It can be anything. A new job, a loving relationship, improved health, a specific sum of money, a particular achievement. Now, every night before you go to sleep, and every morning when you wake up, spend a few minutes imagining that this desire has already been fulfilled. See it clearly in your mind's eye. Feel the emotions you would feel if it were already your reality. Experience the relief, the joy, the excitement of having what you desire. During the day, whenever you think of your desire, remind yourself that it's already yours in your imagination. Feel the gratitude of already having it, live from the state of your wish fulfilled. Don't worry about how it will come about. Don't try to figure out the steps you need to take. Simply live from the end, knowing that the universe will orchestrate the means. At the end of the 30 days, reflect on your experience. Notice any changes in your outer world, but more importantly, notice the changes in your inner world, in your thoughts, your feelings, your overall state of being. You may be amazed at what unfolds. You may find your desire manifesting in ways you never expected. Or you may find that you've changed in profound ways, regardless of whether your specific desire has yet appeared in your physical reality. Remember, the goal is not just to get things or achieve specific outcomes. The goal is to master your own consciousness, to understand and apply the principles that govern the universe, to become a deliberate creator of your life experience. You'll do this, you'll discover a profound truth. You're not separate from the universe. You are not a tiny speck in a vast, indifferent cosmos. You are an individualized expression of the one creative power that underlies all of existence. You are, in essence, the universe experiencing itself through your unique perspective. When you truly grasp this, when you live from this understanding, you'll see that there are no limits to what you can be, do, or have. You'll understand that you always get what you want. Because what you truly want, at the deepest level of your being, is to express and experience more of who you really are. And that, my dear friends, is the greatest adventure of all. It's the journey of self-discovery, of self-expression, of becoming more fully yourself. It's the journey of aligning your individual consciousness with the infinite consciousness of the universe. As you embark on this journey, know that you're not alone. The entire universe is supporting you, guiding you, working through you. Trust this process. Have faith in your own divine nature. Know that you are love, supported, and infinitely powerful. Remember, you always get what you want. So choose your thoughts wisely. Choose your feelings intentionally. Choose the state of consciousness you wish to embody. For in doing so, you are choosing the life you will experience. Go forth with this knowledge. Apply these principles in your daily life. Watch as your world transforms before your eyes. And know that as you do this, you're not just changing your own life, you're contributing to the evolution of consciousness itself. You're playing your unique part in the grand symphony of creation. Thank you for your attention, for your openness, and for your willingness to explore these profound truths. May your journey be filled with joy, wonder, and the thrill of conscious creation. Remember always, you're the open power in your world. You are the one who decides what you will experience. You always get what you want. Go now and create the life of your dreams, for it is already yours, waiting for you to step into it. The power is yours. The choice is yours. The life you desire is yours. Claim it. Live it. Thank you. And may your life be a testament to the incredible power of your own consciousness.
When I tell you to act as if you are the best, I'm not speaking of arrogance or comparison with others. I'm speaking of recognizing and embodying your divine nature. For you are God's own image and likeness made manifest in flesh. Many of you come to these lectures believing that others are better than you, more talented than you, more deserving than you. But I tell you this, such beliefs are nothing but assumed limitations. And like all assumptions, they can be changed in a single moment of understanding. Consider this: when Scripture says, I am that I am, it's revealing the fundamental truth of your being. You are not becoming the best, you are the best. Your only task is to recognize and assume this truth until it becomes your living reality. Let me share with you what I mean by acting as if you are the best. It's not about competing with others or proving your superiority. It's about assuming the state of being the person you desire to be, knowing that no one can prevent you from expressing your highest conception of yourself. When you truly grasp that consciousness is the only reality, you understand that your concept of self determines everything you experience. If you assume others are better than you, the universe must conform to provide experiences that confirm this assumption. If you assume you are the best, the universe must, and I emphasize must, reorganize itself to reflect this assumption back to you. Here's a profound truth that few understand. Your present concept of self, the one that makes you feel less than others, is just as much a step as the one I'm asking you to adopt. You weren't born believing others were better than you. You learned to assume this through experience and accepted it as truth. Changing this assumption requires a complete revision of your self-concept. You must begin to live from the assumption that you are the best, not through comparison with others, but through the recognition of your divine nature. For when I say you are the best, I'm speaking of your true identity as pure consciousness. Let me share with you what happens in consciousness when you truly assume you are the best. First, all sense of competition falls away. When you know you are the best, you don't need to prove it to anyone. You don't need to diminish others to elevate yourself. You simply are, and that knowing is enough. Many of you make the mistake of trying to become the best through effort and struggle. But I tell you this, you cannot become what you already are. Your task is not to become the best, but to recognize and assume that you already are the best. This is what Scripture means when it says, be still and know that I am God. Consider this. Everything you're experiencing now, every limitation, every feeling of being less than others, is simply the harvested fruit of your past assumptions. The universe has been faithfully reflecting back to you what you have assumed about yourself. If you've assumed others are better, the universe has provided evidence to support this assumption. But here is the liberating truth. You can change this pattern in a single moment by assuming a new concept of self. When you assume you are the best, the universe has no choice but to rearrange itself to reflect this new assumption. This is law, and the law never fails. Let me tell you something about assuming you are the best. It has nothing to do with ego or pride. It's about recognizing your divine nature and allowing it to express through you. When you truly assume this state, you naturally want others to recognize and express their divine nature as well. This is why the command is to love your neighbor as yourself. When you truly recognize your own divine nature, you automatically get others. In others, you don't need to compete with them because you understand that their success doesn't diminish your own greatness. Expressing your divine nature means living from the assumption that you are the best version of yourself right now, in this moment. Not tomorrow, not when circumstances change, but now. For in consciousness, where all creation takes place, there is no waiting, no becoming, there is only being. Let me share with you a principle that many find difficult to accept. Your current circumstances have no power to prevent you from assuming you are the best. Your bank account, your education, your background, your past failures, none of these can stop you from assuming a new concept of self. They are merely shadows of past assumptions. Many of you say, but Neville, how can I assume I'm the best when others are more qualified, more successful, more experienced? I tell you this, these comparisons exist only in your imagination. And if they exist in your imagination, they can be revised in your imagination. For imagination creates reality. Consider this, every great individual who ever lived first assumed their greatness before it became visible to others. They didn't wait for circumstances to make them great. They assumed their greatness, and circumstances had to conform to their assumption. This is the law. When you truly assume you are the best, something remarkable happens in consciousness. All sense of strain, all need to prove yourself, all fear of competition falls away. You begin to move through life with a confidence that needs no external validation. Let me tell you something about this state of being the best. It's not about being better than others. It's about being better than your previous concept of yourself. When you assume this state, you naturally inspire others to rise to their best as well. For when one rises, all rise. Here's a profound truth about assuming you are the best. The universe cannot give you less than what you assume for yourself. If you assume mediocrity, the universe must provide experiences of mediocrity. If you assume excellence, the universe must provide experiences of excellence. Assuming excellence means occupying the state of being excellent in your imagination until it becomes your dominant feeling. Not just during meditation or visualization, but in every moment of your daily life. Your every thought, your every action, your every reaction must spring from this new assumption. Let me share with you what happens when you truly assume you are the best. Your walk changes, your talk changes, your posture changes, not through conscious effort, but as a natural expression of your new self-concept. The universe must then reshape itself to match this new expression. Many of you make the mistake of trying to act confident while maintaining an inner feeling of inadequacy. But I tell you this, the universe responds not to your outer actions, but to your inner feeling tone. You must feel your excellence in the very depths of your being. Consider this, right now in this very moment, there are infinite states of consciousness available to you. The state of being the best already exists, complete and perfect. Your task is not to create this state, but to occupy it through your assumption. When you assume you are the best, you stop seeking approval from others. You stop comparing yourself to others. You stop making excuses for why you can't succeed. These behaviors cannot exist in the consciousness of one who truly knows their own excellence. Let me tell you something crucial about maintaining this state. You will be tested. The world of Caesar will present you with evidence that seems to contradict your assumption. Old circumstances, old relationships, old patterns will persist for a time. This is law. But here's the secret. These circumstances have no power except the power you give them through your reaction. If you maintain your assumption of being the best despite contrary evidence, that very evidence must change to match your assumption. Handling contrary evidence is where most people falter in their assumption of being the best. When circumstances seem to deny your assumption, when others doubt you, when results don't immediately appear, this is when you must stand most firmly in your conviction. Let me share with you a principle that has proven itself countless times. The outer world will continue to reflect your old concept of self for a time. This is not a denial of your new assumption. It is an opportunity to strengthen it. Every circumstance that seems to deny your excellence is actually an opportunity to prove your assumption. Many of you abandon your assumption of being the best at the first sign of failure or criticism. But I tell you this, those very failures, those very criticisms, when met with unwavering assumption of your excellence, become the building blocks of your success. For what you persist in assuming must become your reality. Consider this. When you truly know you are the best, failure becomes impossible. You may face temporary setbacks, but in your consciousness, these are merely stepping stones to your inevitable success. This is how the great ones think. And this is how you must think if you would assume your greatness. The universe responds not to what others think of you, not to your past performance, not to your current circumstances, but to your persistent assumption. If you maintain the feeling of being the best despite all evidence to the contrary, the universe must, and I emphasize must, reorganize itself to match your assumption. Let me tell you something about persistence in your assumption. It's not about duration in time, but about the intensity of conviction. One moment of complete acceptance of your excellence is worth more than years of half-hearted affirmations. The universe responds not to time, but to the intensity of your assumption. Here's a profound truth about maintaining your assumption. You don't maintain it by fighting against current conditions. You maintain it by remaining so centered in your excellence that current conditions become irrelevant. Just as light doesn't fight darkness, it simply shines. You don't fight against limitations. You simply radiate excellence. Radiating excellence comes from a deep inner conviction that transcends all external circumstances. When you truly assume you are the best, this assumption radiates from you naturally, without effort, without strain, without trying to convince others. It becomes as natural as breathing. Let me share with you what I mean by radiating excellence. When you wake in the morning, before you even open your eyes, feel the naturalness of being the best. Not with excitement or enthusiasm, but with the quiet certainty of knowing who you really are. This feeling should be as natural as knowing your own name. Many of you try to radiate excellence through outer actions, through your clothes, your possessions, your achievements. But I tell you this, true excellence radiates from within. It's not something you do, it's something you are. The outer manifestations will follow naturally when your inner assumption is secure. Consider this, everything in your world right now is a reflection of your past radiation. If you've been radiating doubt, uncertainty, or feelings of inadequacy, the universe has faithfully reflected these back to you. The universe can only reflect what you radiate from within. When you truly radiate excellence, something remarkable happens. Others begin to recognize and respond to it. Not because you're trying to impress them, but because they can't help but respond to the conviction you carry within. This is why Scripture says, let your light so shine before men. Let me tell you something vital about radiating excellence. It must be consistent. You cannot radiate excellence for an hour and then return to radiating doubt and limitation. The universe responds to your predominant radiation, not to your occasional moments of feeling confident. Here's a profound truth about radiation. It affects everything in your world. When you truly radiate excellence, every person you meet, every circumstance you encounter must adjust itself to match your radiation. This is law, and the law never fails. Your radiation affects your world in ways that your logical mind could never conceive. When you consistently radiate the feeling of being the best, the entire universe must, and I emphasize must, rearrange itself to reflect this radiation back to you in the form of corresponding circumstances, events, and relationships. Let me share with you what happens when you maintain this radiation of excellent radiation. People who previously doubted you begin to see you differently. Opportunities that seemed closed to you suddenly appear. Circumstances that appeared limiting begin to transform. Not because you're manipulating the outer world, but because your radiation is creating a new world. Many of you ask how long it will take for your world to reflect your new radiation. But I tell you this, time is not a factor in consciousness. The moment you achieve a complete conviction of being the best, the entire universe begins its reorganization. The time it takes for this to become visible depends solely on the intensity of your conviction. Consider this right now in this very moment. There are infinite versions of you existing simultaneously. There's a version where you're struggling, a version where you're succeeding, a version where you're the absolute best in your field. Your radiation determines which version you experience. When you truly understand this, you stop trying to compete with others. You realize that your only competition is with your previous concept of self. The only person you need to be better than is who you were yesterday. And this improvement comes not through strain or effort, but through assuming a higher concept of self. Let me tell you something about this radiation of excellence. It must become your natural state. Just as you don't think about breathing, you shouldn't have to think about being the best. It should be your default state, your natural way of being in the world. Here's a profound truth about maintaining this radiation. You don't maintain it by affirming it or by trying to convince others. You maintain it by living from it, by making it so much a part of your consciousness that you can't conceive of being any other way. Living from the state of being the best means making it your constant dwelling place in consciousness. Just as you naturally live in your physical home without constantly reminding yourself that it's your home, you must naturally live in the consciousness of being the best without constant mental effort. Let me share with you what happens when you truly live from this state. Your decisions change. Your choices change, your responses to challenges change, not because you're trying to act differently, but because these new behaviors are the natural expression of your new state of consciousness. Many of you try to live from this state for a few hours or days, then slip back into your old patterns of thinking. But I tell you this, you must make a complete and permanent move into this new state. You must burn the bridges to your old concept of self. There can be no going back, no visiting your old limitations. Consider this, every great achievement in human history came from someone who dared to live from the state of being the best. They didn't wait until circumstances confirmed their greatness. They assumed their greatness first. And circumstances had no choice but to conform to their assumption. When you truly live from the state of being the best, criticism cannot touch you, not because you've become immune to it, but because you're living in a state where criticism is irrelevant. Just as a king doesn't defend his right to the throne, you don't defend your excellence, you simply live from it. Let me tell you something vital about living from this state. It requires no effort once you're truly established in it. Just as it requires no effort to be who you currently believe yourself to be, it requires no effort to be the best once you fully assume that state. Here's a profound truth about living from the state of being the best. It transforms not just your future, but your past as well. When you fully occupy the state, you begin to see how every past experience, even the seemingly negative ones, contributed to your excellence. Many of you believe that being the best means constantly striving, constantly pushing, constantly competing. But I tell you this, true excellence comes from a state of being, not from doing. When you occupy the state of being the best, your actions flow naturally from that state without strain or effort. Consider this right now. You're living from some concept of self. This concept might be that you're average, that others are better, that you need to struggle to succeed. And the universe has faithfully reflected this concept back to you. But I tell you this, you can shift to a new concept of self in a single moment of understanding. When you truly grasp that being the best is your natural state, your divine inheritance, something remarkable happens. All the energy you've been using to compete, to prove yourself, to overcome limitations becomes available for creative expression. You stop trying to become and simply allow yourself to be. Let me tell you something about this state of being the best. It's not about superiority over others. It's about expressing your highest potential, about being the best version of yourself. When you truly occupy this state, you naturally want others to recognize and express their excellence as well. Here's a profound truth about living as the best. It's the most natural thing in the world once you understand your true identity. You are God's own imagination made manifest. How could you be anything less than the best? Any limitation you experience is simply a limitation you've accepted in imagination. Accepting your true identity as the best version of yourself requires a complete revision of everything you've believed about who you are. You must understand that your current concept of self, with all its limitations and doubts, is just as much an assumed state as the one I'm asking you to adopt. Let me share with you what happens when you fully accept your true identity. First, all sense of unworthiness falls away. You stop questioning whether you deserve success, whether you're good enough, whether you can achieve your goals. You know with absolute certainty that excellence is your natural state. Many of you have lived so long with a limited concept of self that being the best seems like an impossible dream. But I tell you this, that very feeling of impossibility is itself an assumption. And like all assumptions, it can be changed in a single moment through the power of your wonderful human imagination. Consider this. Every limitation you now accept, every feeling of being less than the best, is nothing more than a habit of consciousness. And habits, no matter how long established, can be changed through persistent assumption of a new state. This is law, and the law never fails. When you truly accept your identity as the best, your entire world must reshape itself to match this new self-concept. People who once intimidated you will find themselves responding to your new radiation. Circumstances that seem beyond your reach will naturally align themselves with your new assumption. Let me tell you something vital about maintaining this new identity. You don't maintain it through willpower or positive thinking. You maintain it through understanding. Once you truly understand that being the best is your natural state, you can no more doubt it than you can doubt your own existence. Here's a profound truth about your true identity. It's not something you need to create or achieve. It already exists, complete and perfect, waiting for you to step into it through assumption. Your only task is to accept it, to occupy it, to live from it. Many of you fluctuate between excellent and feeling inadequate, depending on external circumstances. But I tell you this, such fluctuation is impossible when you truly occupy the state of being the best. Just as a king doesn't stop being a king during challenges, you don't stop being excellent when facing obstacles. Consider this, every experience you encounter is simply an opportunity to express your excellence. Even apparent failures become opportunities to demonstrate your unshakable conviction in your own greatness. For when you live from the state of being the best, failure becomes impossible. When you truly live from this identity, something remarkable happens to your relationship with time. You stop waiting to become excellent in the future and start expressing excellence now. For in consciousness, where all creation takes place, there is no waiting, no becoming, there is only being. Let me tell you something crucial about maintaining this state. The world will test your conviction. It must, for this is law. Old circumstances, old relationships, old patterns of failure will persist for a time. But these are not obstacles to your assumption. They are opportunities to strengthen it. Here's a profound truth about living from your true identity. It requires no effort once you're established in it. Just as you don't need effort to be who you currently believe yourself to be. You need no effort to be the best once you've fully accepted this as your true identity. Uncovering your natural excellence is like removing layers of dust from a perfect mirror. The brilliance was always there. It was merely covered by accumulated beliefs in limitation, doubt, and unworthiness. As you remove these false beliefs, your natural excellence shines forth with ever-increasing clarity. Let me share with you what happens when these layers of limitation begin to fall away. First, you stop seeking validation from others. You stop needing external confirmation of your excellence. You know who you are with such certainty that no external opinion can shake your conviction. Many of you have accumulated so many layers of limiting beliefs that your natural excellence seems like a distant dream. But I tell you this, these limitations are no more permanent than dust on a mirror. They can be wiped away in an instant through the power of your assumption. Consider this, every limiting belief you now hold, every doubt about your excellence, every fear of inadequacy was learned. And what can be learned can be unlearned. Your task is not to create excellence, but to remove the barriers to its expression. When you truly begin this process of uncovering your excellence, something remarkable happens to your entire worldview. You start to see that every circumstance, every relationship, every experience has been serving to reveal your true nature. Even your apparent failures have been leading you to this recognition. Let me tell you something crucial about this uncovering process. It happens not through effort, but through understanding. The moment you truly understand that excellence is your natural state, the layers of limitation begin to fall away of the akin. Here's a profound truth about uncovering your excellence. The process is instantaneous in consciousness, but may appear gradual in manifestation. The moment you fully accept your true identity, the entire universe begins its reorganization to reflect this truth. The time it takes for this to become visible depends solely on the completeness of your acceptance. The process of accepting your natural excellence requires a complete revision of your self-concept. You must be willing to release every belief, every idea, every concept that contradicts your true identity as the best. This is not something you do gradually. It must be absolute and complete. Let me share with you what happens when this acceptance becomes total. First, all internal conflict ceases. The battle between who you think you should be and who you think you are ends completely. There is only the quiet certainty of knowing your true identity as the best. Many of you try to accept your excellence while still holding on to doubts and limitations. But I tell you this, such partial acceptance is no acceptance at all. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot live from the state of being the best while maintaining a backup identity of limitation. Consider this, your current concept of self, with all its limitations and doubts, is just as much an assumed state as the one I'm asking you to adopt. The only difference is that you've practiced your current concept longer. But time is no factor in consciousness. A new state, fully accepted, becomes just as natural as any long-held belief. When you truly accept your excellence without reservation, something remarkable happens to your entire experience of life. What once seemed like obstacles become opportunities. What once seemed like competition becomes irrelevant. What once seemed like limitations become launching pads for greater expression. Let me tell you something vital about this acceptance. It must be unconditional. You can accept your excellence only when circumstances support it. You must maintain this acceptance regardless of external conditions, knowing that conditions must conform to your consciousness, not the other way around. Here's a profound truth about complete acceptance. It transforms not just your future, but your past as well. When you fully accept your excellence, you begin to see how every past experience, even the seemingly negative ones, was perfectly designed to lead you to this recognition. Consider for a moment the nature of the universe itself. Is it not a constant flow of energy, a ceaseless exchange of giving and receiving? The sun gives its light and warmth without hesitation, and in doing so sustains all life on earth. The trees give oxygen freely, and in return, receive the carbon dioxide they need to thrive. This principle of giving and receiving is woven into the very fabric of existence. But let us delve deeper into this concept as it applies to your life, to your consciousness, which is the one and only reality. When you give, you are making a powerful declaration to your subconscious mind and to the universe at large. You are stating with absolute conviction that you live in a world of abundance. You are affirming that you have more than enough, so much so that you can freely share with others. This, my friends, is the secret to unlocking unlimited abundance in your life, for your outer world is nothing more than a reflection of your inner beliefs and assumptions. When you assume the feeling of abundance, when you give from a place of plenty rather than scarcity, you are reshaping your entire world. Let us explore this principle through the lens of various aspects of life. In matters of finance and material wealth, many hold tight to what they have, fearful that giving will lead to lack. But I tell you, this fear-based thinking is the very thing that creates the experience of scarcity. When you give freely, whether it be money, time, or resources, you are telling your subconscious mind, I have more than enough. I live in a world of infinite supply. Imagine, if you will, a farmer who hoards his seeds, fearful of running out. What harvest can he expect? None, for seeds kept in storage will never bear fruit. But the farmer who scatters his seeds generously, trusting in the natural law of increase, will reap a bountiful harvest. Your wealth, your resources are like those seeds. Give them away, plant them in the fertile soil of generosity, and watch as they multiply beyond your wildest dreams. Now, some of you may be thinking, but Neville, I have so little to give. How can I give when I myself am in need? To this I say, give what you have, no matter how small it may seem. For it is not the size of the gift that matters, but the feeling with which it is given. Even a smile freely given carries within it the power to transform both the giver and the receiver. Remember the biblical story of the widow's mite. Jesus said of her small offering, truly I tell you, this poor widow has put more into the treasury than all the others. They all gave out of their wealth, but she out of her poverty. Put in everything, all she had to live on. It was not the amount that mattered, but the spirit of abundance from which she gave. Let us now turn our attention to the realm of love and relationships. Many approach relationships with a mindset of what they can get, how they can be fulfilled by another. But I tell you, the secret to experiencing deep, fulfilling love is to give it away freely. Love without condition, without expectation of return. For in doing so, you become love itself. And love cannot help but flow back to its source. I think of love as a fragrance. When you wear it, you not only enjoy it yourself, but also bless all those who come into contact with you. The more freely you dispense this fragrance of love, the more you yourself will be immersed in its sweet aroma. Give love in all its forms, kindness, compassion, understanding, forgiveness, and watch as your word becomes saturated with love. In the realm of knowledge and wisdom, the same principle applies. There are those who hoard information believing that knowledge is power and that sharing it will somehow diminish their own standing. But I tell you, the opposite is true. When you freely share your knowledge, when you teach others what you know, you not only reinforce your own understanding, but you open yourself to receiving even greater wisdom. Consider the great teachers throughout history. Did they not gain deeper insights, greater understanding through the very act of teaching? When you give away your knowledge, you create space for new learning, new understanding to flow into your consciousness. You become a channel for wisdom, ever expanding, ever growing. Now, let us address a common concern that arises when discussing this principle. Many fear that if they give too much, they will be taken advantage of, left with nothing. But understand this: true giving that aligns with this universal principle, comes from a place of abundance, not martyrdom. You give not because you must, but because you can, because it brings you joy to do so. Moreover, the law of circulation ensures that what you give will return to you, often multiplied. But here's a crucial point: do not give with the expectation of return. Give for the sheer joy of giving, for the expression of your abundant nature. The return will come, often in unexpected ways and from unexpected sources, but it is not your concern. Your task is simply to give freely and joyously. Let me share with you a personal experience that illustrates the power of this principle. Many years ago, when I first began to understand these truths, I made a decision to give away a significant portion of my income, despite the fact that I was far from wealthy at the time. I gave to causes I believed in, to individuals in need, always with a feeling of joy and abundance. To the amazement of my friends and family, my financial situation began to improve dramatically. Opportunities seemed to appear out of nowhere. My career flourished in ways I could never have anticipated. But here's the key: I did not give in order to receive. I gave because I had fully embraced the truth that I lived in an abundant universe, that I was one with the source of all supply. This principle extends beyond the material realm. Give of your time, your attention, your energy. Listen deeply to others, offer a helping hand, share a kind word. These two are forms of giving that set in motion the universal law of circulation. As you give of yourself in these ways, you will find your life enriched beyond measure. Consider for a moment the nature of breathing. You must exhale fully in order to take in a deep, nourishing breath. If you try to hold on to each breath, fearful of letting it go, you would soon find yourself gasping for air. Life itself is a constant process of giving and receiving, of letting go and allowing new experiences to flow in. Now I can hear some of you thinking, but Neville, what about boundaries? Shouldn't we protect ourselves, our resources? And to this I say, yes, boundaries are important. But true boundaries come from a place of self-respect and abundance, not fear and scarcity. When you give from a place of overflow, you naturally maintain healthy boundaries. Think of yourself as a flowing river, not a stagnant pond. A river gives freely of its water, yet it does not diminish. It is constantly replenished from its source. You too are connected to an infinite source. As you give, you open yourself to receive the never-ending flow of abundance from this source. Let us now explore how you can begin to apply this principle in your daily life. Start small if you must, but start today. Look for opportunities to give, to share, to be generous. It could be as simple as offering a genuine compliment, sharing a meal, or volunteering your time for a cause you believe in. As you give, pay attention to how it makes you feel. Notice the sense of expansion, of joy that comes from true giving. This feeling is your indicator that you are aligning with the universal principle of circulation. Cultivate this feeling, let it grow within you. Remember, the outer world is a reflection of your inner state. As you cultivate feelings of abundance and generosity within, your outer world will begin to reflect these qualities back to you. You will find yourself attracting more opportunities to give and in turn more avenues for receiving. But here's a crucial point: do not give with ulterior motives. Do not give as a manipulative tactic to get something in return. Such giving is not giving at all, but merely a form of bargaining. True giving comes from a place of love, of joy, of genuine desire to share your abundance. As you embrace this principle, you may find that your entire perspective on life begins to shift. You will start to see opportunities for giving everywhere you look. The world will appear more abundant, more filled with possibility. This shift in perception is the key to transforming your entire life experience. Consider the words of Jesus: give, and it will be given to you. A good measure pressed down, shaken together, and running over will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. This is not mere religious rhetoric, my friends. It is a profound statement of universal law. The measure you use, the extent to which you give, share, and express abundance becomes the measure by which you receive. If you give with a teaspoon, you will receive with a teaspoon. But if you give with a shovel, you open yourself to receive with a shovel. And if you give with the generosity of an entire river, you align yourself with the infinite abundance of the universe. Now, let us address another aspect of this principle, forgiveness. Forgiveness is a form of giving, perhaps one of the most powerful forms. When you forgive, you are giving up your right to hold on to anger, resentment, and hurt. You are giving freedom both to yourself and to the one you forgive. Many hold on to grievances thinking that by doing so they are protecting themselves or punishing the other person. But I tell you, holding on to unforgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. When you forgive, when you give up your grievances, you free yourself. You open yourself to receive peace, joy, and new positive experiences. Remember, forgiveness does mean condoning harmful actions. It does not mean putting yourself in harm's way. It simply means releasing the emotional charge, the negative energy that you have been carrying. As you do this, as you give forgiveness freely, you will find that peace and harmony flow back into your life in abundance. Let us now turn our attention to the giving of appreciation and gratitude. These two are powerful forms of giving that set in motion the universal law of circulation. When you appreciate, when you express genuine gratitude, you are giving recognition, acknowledgement, and positive energy. Make it a practice to appreciate everything in your life, from the grandest blessings to the smallest details. Appreciate the air you breathe, the food you eat, the people in your life, the challenges that help you grow. As you do this, you will find more and more to appreciate. You will tune yourself to the frequency of abundance and joy. Gratitude is a powerful magnet for miracles. When you are truly grateful for what you have, you open yourself to receive even more. It's a paradox that many fail to understand. The more grateful you are for what you have, the more you will have to be grateful for. Now, let us address a question that often arises when discussing this principle. What about receiving? Isn't it important to learn how to receive as well? And to this, I say yes, receiving is indeed an essential part of the equation. But true receiving is not about grasping or hoarding. It is about allowing, about being open to the flow of good into your life. Think of yourself as a conduit, a channel through which abundance flows. As you give freely, you keep this channel open, allowing more to flow through you. Receiving in this context is not a passive act, but an active allowing, an acceptance of the good that is your birthright. Many struggle with receiving because they feel unworthy or fear that accepting gifts or help will create an obligation. But I tell you, your willingness to receive graciously is a gift to the giver. When you receive with joy and gratitude, you complete the circle of giving and receiving, allowing the energy to flow freely. As we delve deeper into this principle, let us consider its application in the realm of creativity and self-expression. Your talents, your unique gifts are meant to be shared with the world. When you express yourself freely, when you give your creativity to the world without fear or hesitation, you open yourself to receive even greater inspiration. Many artists, writers, and creators fall into the trap of hoarding their best ideas, saving them for some future perfect moment. But I tell you, the more you give of your creativity, the more will flow through you. Ideas are infinite, and the more you express, the more you will have to express. Consider the great artists throughout history. Did they create one masterpiece and then stop, fearful of running out of ideas? No, they created prolifically, giving form to their inspiration again and again. And in doing so, they opened themselves to receive even greater inspiration, producing works that continue to inspire us to this day. The same principle applies to your unique gifts, whatever they may be. Perhaps you have a talent for making others laugh, for solving problems, for creating beauty, for teaching, for healing. Whatever your gifts, give them freely to the world. As you do so, you will find these gifts growing stronger, expanding, evolving in ways you never imagined. Now let us address a common obstacle that prevents many from fully embracing this principle, the fear of loss. Many hold back from giving, from sharing, from expressing themselves fully because they fear that in doing so, they will somehow be diminished. But I tell you, this fear is based on a fundamental misunderstanding of the nature of reality. You are not a limited being with a finite supply of resources, creativity, or love to give. You are an infinite being connected to the source of all that is. When you give from this understanding, You tap into an inexhaustible supply. You become a channel for the infinite to express itself through you. Consider the example of a parent's love for their children. Does a parent love their second child less because they have already given love to their first? Of course not. Love multiplies with expression. The more love you give, the more love you have to give. The same is true for all forms of giving. As you embrace this truth, as you give freely without fear of loss, you will find yourself living from a place of ever-expanding abundance. You will experience the joy of being a channel for good in the world, a conduit for the infinite to express itself in myriad forms. Let us now explore the relationship between giving and purpose. Many people struggle to find their purpose in life, feeling lost or unfulfilled. But I tell you, your purpose is intrinsically linked to what you have to give to the world. As you give of yourself, as you share your unique gifts, you align with your deepest purpose. Your purpose is not something external to be found, but something internal to be expressed. As you give, as you share, as you express your unique self, you will find a sense of fulfillment and meaning that cannot be achieved through accumulation or achievement alone. Consider the great humanitarians and change makers throughout history. They found their purpose not in what they could get, but in what they could give. In giving themselves fully to a cause greater than themselves, they not only changed the world, but experienced a profound sense of fulfillment and joy. You too have within you the power to make a difference, to contribute something unique and valuable to the world. As you embrace the principle of giving, you will naturally align on with this deeper purpose. You will find yourself drawn to opportunities to make a difference, to express your unique gifts in service of something greater than yourself. Now, as we near the conclusion of our discourse, I want to impress upon you the importance of persistence in applying this principle. Giving freely, living from a place of abundance rather than scarcity may feel unnatural at first. You may encounter resistance, both from within yourself and from others who do not understand this principle. But I urge you persist. Make giving a habit, a way of life. Start each day by asking yourself, what can I give today? How can I add value to the world around me? As you do this consistently, you will find it becoming easier, more natural. It will become not something you do, but who you are. Remember, you are not alone in this journey. The same power that created the universe flows through you. The same intelligence that orchestrates the dance of galaxies is at work in your life, bringing about the fulfillment of this universal principle. Trust in this power. Align yourself with it by maintaining the unwavering practice of giving. In closing, I want to leave you with this thought: the state of abundance, of fulfillment, of joy is not something external to be achieved. It is a state of consciousness to be assumed. As you give freely, as you live from the overflow, you are not pretending or deceiving yourself. You are aligning with your true nature, your higher self, the divine within you that knows no limitations. So go forth, my dear friends, and give with all your heart. Give your love, your kindness, your resources, your talents. Give your forgiveness, your appreciation, your unique gifts to the world. For in giving, you open yourself to receive the infinite abundance of the universe. You become a channel for the divine to express itself through you. Remember, the world is yourself pushed out. As you give freely, as you embody the state of abundance and generosity, you set in motion forces beyond your comprehension. You activate the law of circulation, drawing to yourself experiences that reflect your generosity and abundance. Let your every thought, word, and action spring from this new state of being. Let your inner conversation reflect the reality of abundance and generosity. Speak to yourself and others as one who lives in a world of infinite supply would speak. Carry yourself with the quiet confidence of one who knows that as they give, so shall they receive. And above all, have faith. Faith not as a mere belief, but as the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Let your faith in this principle be unshakable, for it is the very force that will move mountains and part seas to bring about the manifestation of abundance in your life. As we conclude, I want you to take a moment to fully embrace this truth. Close your eyes, if you will, and feel the reality of living from a place of abundance, of giving freely without fear. Feel the joy, the satisfaction, the sense of fulfillment. Let it permeate every cell of your being. Breathe it in. Let it fill your lungs, your heart, your entire body. Now, with this feeling firmly established within you, go forth into your day. Let this feeling be the lens through which you view the world. Let it inform your every interaction, your every decision. For as you do so, you are literally reshaping your reality, molding it to match your inner vision of abundance and generosity. Remember, my dear friends, you are divine beings, co-creators with the infinite. The power to shape your reality lies within you. It always has, and it always will. By choosing to give freely, to live from a place of abundance, you are claiming this power, stepping into your divine birthright. So I say to you, with all the love and conviction in my heart, give, and it shall be given unto you. For in the deepest, truest sense, as you give, you have already received. The abundance is yours. Claim it, embody it, express it, and watch in awe as your outer world transforms to match your inner reality of limitless abundance. Go now and create a life of overflowing abundance through the practice of generous giving. For you are the operant power, the divine creative force, the I Am presence in your world. And all things are possible to you. Blessings upon you all. And may your journey be filled with the joy of giving and the sweet satisfaction of living in harmony with this universal principle.